Today's reading that is going to be used for the Children's Liturgy or Sunday School for the 23rd week of Ordinary Time, Year B, is taken from the Gospel reading, the cure of the deaf and dumb man. The booklet contains at the very beginning a little summary of the core concept, just to help the teacher, the scripture teacher, or the Sunday school teacher. And it goes like this. Jesus, who is God the Son, showed who he was through the signs that he worked. They invite belief in him. To those who turn to him in faith, he grants what they ask. Miracles bear witness that he is the Son of God. So that helps you as a teacher to know what it is that you're hoping that the children will gain from this. It would begin in this way. You'd introduce the children to words that they may not be familiar with beforehand. And these are the words that are listed here. You may not need to explain all of them, but I'll just unpack them for you as though I was with the children. And while I'm doing that, I will refer to this map of Israel. So the words that you need to understand the reading better are these. Firstly, the regions. The regions are whole sections here of the land of Israel. They're all named, and they're on this map. They've got little brown squares to indicate what is a region. And in this particular story, we're going to hear about the region of Decapolis, which is here. And also mentioned are two towns, Tyre and Sidon, because Jesus was coming from here and traveling to here when this happened. And they are towns in the land of Israel at the time of Jesus. Then, apart from that, another word that you might need to understand is the word impediment. And that means to have a defect of some kind. And in this case, the person that Jesus is going to cure has an impediment, two impediments in fact. He is unable to speak and unable to hear, deaf and dumb. Another word that can come up that maybe you're not that familiar with, it might be multitude. That means a lot of people. Here we have a few people, but they're signifying a lot more people that are around. And also, the background is indicating numbers of people too. And in this case, it's in a kind of a town setting, and there are people who are in need along the edges of the street there. And then another very big and new word, Ephphatha. And this is a word that means be opened. And it's in the language that Jesus spoke, Aramaic at the time. And another word that we'll find to be new possibly is zealously, which means enthusiastically. And I'll begin the lesson right now. We're going to hear today one of those miraculous events that took place, that Jesus performed. And it's actually the reading from today's Mass on the 23rd week of Ordinary Time. And we're going to be lighting the candle because it's from the Gospel that we're reading. The reading is taken from St. Mark's Gospel. Jesus returned from the region of Tyre and went through Sidon to the Sea of Galilee and through the region of Decapolis. And they brought him a man who was deaf and had an impediment in his speech, and they begged him to lay his hand upon him. And taking him aside from the multitude privately, he put his fingers in his ears, and he spat and touched his tongue, and looked up to heaven. And he sighed and said to him, Ephphatha, that is, be opened. And his ears were opened, and his tongue was released, and he spoke plainly. And he asked them to tell no one, but the more he asked them, the more zealously they proclaimed it. And they were absolutely astonished, saying, He has done all things well. He even makes the deaf hear and the dumb speak. So then we come to the I wonder questions. I wonder why Jesus chose to heal the man by putting his fingers in the man's ears and then taking his own spittle and placing some of that on the tongue of the man who couldn't speak. That's a big question, and even adults have to think their way through that. There are a number of ways of understanding that and realizing the greater significance of Jesus using his own spittle on the tongue of the man who couldn't speak. I wonder how this miracle can help us to turn to Jesus. And I wonder how we can apply it to our own life, thinking about hearing and speaking, perhaps hearing Jesus' words, speaking on his behalf. How can turning to Jesus help us in our mission in life? After that, then, if there's time, it's great for the children to have something to take away, something to do. Perhaps it's a mindful colouring in, a very simple craft activity. Something, if it's Sunday school, children's liturgy rather, if it's children's liturgy, there won't be a great deal of time, but it's very good if they can actually use the figurines themselves a little bit, read the Bible account in the children's Bible, do a little bit of mindful colouring in, trying to relate everything back to this particular reading. So you're anchoring in their deep understanding. They're going back and joining the congregation, if it's after the homily, with some deeper knowledge of that particular gospel passage, and in this case, the cure of the deaf and dumb man.